Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to get to the heart of what social work is all about, looking past the obvious stuff, the paperwork and procedures, to really understand what guides the entire profession. So, let me start by asking you a question. What do you think is a social worker's most important tool? Now, your first thought might be something practical, like a binder full of resources, or maybe a set of therapeutic techniques. But what if I told you the real answer is something, well, something much, much deeper? Okay, let's dive right in. See, here's the thing. The core idea we're exploring is that social work isn't just a technical job. It's not just about checking boxes. At its very foundation, it's a moral practice. And what makes it so different, right? It's that the personal and the professional, they just can't be separated. When you're dealing with the incredible complexity of people's lives, you've got to have this deep, active, ethical awareness to handle things with real integrity. So, if we're saying this is a moral profession, what's guiding the way? Well, think of the core values of social work like a North Star. No matter how messy or confusing the situation gets, these values are the fixed point that always shows the right direction. Right at the very center of it all is human dignity. This is the bedrock. It's the absolute, unshakable belief in the inherent worth of every single person, no matter what their story is. And then, layered right on top of that, you have human rights. This isn't just a passive idea either. It means you're actively fighting for and upholding the fundamental rights that every single person deserves. And, to round out this incredible trio, we have social justice. This is that constant push to help create a society that is genuinely fair and equitable for everybody, especially for those who are most often left behind. So, just to be clear, these three things, they're not just nice ideas or optional add-ons. They are the absolute, non-negotiable moral foundation that has to support every single thing a social worker does. All right, so we've got the why, those big guiding values. But what about the how? How do social workers actually bring these values to life? Well, that gets us to the practical toolkit they use on the journey with a client. A lot of this comes down to a really classic framework called Bystec's 7 Principles. And the idea behind them is pretty straightforward. Each one, from acceptance to confidentiality to self-determination, is a hands-on method for building trust and, most importantly, empowering the client. And here's the really crucial takeaway. This whole toolkit has one main goal. It's all about helping clients navigate their own problems in a way that makes sure their dignity is always front and center. It's about enabling them, not directing them. Okay, so now we're going to get into what might be the trickiest part of all this. It's not just about the external tools a social worker uses. It's about the deep internal work that's always happening. It's about that internal compass. And this is where we need to make a really important distinction. On one side, you've got the technical skills, the what you do. But on the other, you have ethical awareness, the why you do it. And you absolutely cannot have one without the other. And look, let's just be real for a second. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible to be a thinking, feeling person and not make moral judgments. The goal isn't to become some kind of robot that has no values. The real skill is being aware of your judgments and managing them ethically. So, what are these judgments actually made of? Well, it's a whole mix of things, isn't it? It's your professional training and the evidence in front of you, sure. But it's also your gut feelings, your intuitions, and your own personal ideas about what's good and what's bad. So how on earth do you manage all that? The answer is this really powerful idea called the dialogical spirit. And what's so cool about this is that it completely reframes the relationship. It's not about the social worker telling the client what's right. It's about discovering that knowledge together on a shared journey. Yeah, to boil it all down, it's about being partners. It's a collaborative search to figure out what the good actually looks like for this specific person in their unique life. All of this really brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? How does any social worker balance their own internal compass with the reality of a client's life, especially when those two things might be pointing in totally different directions? And the answer, the real tool for navigating this, is something called critical self-reflection. And this isn't just a one-time thing. It's a constant, active process of looking outward to understand the client's world, while at the same time looking inward to challenge your own biases and assumptions. Okay, Let's pull all these threads together now. When you take that humanistic foundation and you combine it with those practical principles and that deep internal work, what do you actually get? What kind of professional emerges? And this right here, this is really the central point of everything we've talked about today. A social worker can't just be a technocrat, someone who just follows the manual. They have to be a moral actor, someone who truly and actively embodies the values of the profession in everything they do. So, what does that really mean, to be a moral actor? It means you live and breathe those humanistic values. It means you bring real empathy and compassion to the table, and you have this profound tolerance and respect for the incredible diversity of human experience. So let's end with this. Let's zoom out from social work for just a second. After everything we've talked about, what does it mean to be a moral actor in your profession? Or in any profession for that matter? That's a pretty big question to chew on. Thanks for joining me for this one.